Oh my God, y'all. Sit your behinds down, shut the door, turn the lights low. We have a real life emergency. No, this isn't clickbait and I am not being dramatic for views. This is not a test. This is real. The federal government just dropped major charges against Sean Diddy Combs. Yes, you read that right. They dropped the charges, violent charges, high stakes charges, the kind of charges that had all of us gasping, scrolling, tweeting, and praying that justice would be served. Charges that painted a deep, dark picture of just how far the rabbit hole went, and they're just gone. This isn't some technicality or some cute little legal hiccup. No. These are the very charges that had the world side-eyeing the entertainment industry and Diddy himself. Attempted kidnapping? Gone. Attempted arson? Vanished. Aiding and abetting sex trafficking? Wiped out. And y'all, let's be real. Diddy's team is loving this. They want the public to believe the whole case is falling apart, that this is their aha moment, that Diddy's walking away free, flipping his collar, sipping champagne. But slow down, baby. Let's not spiral just yet. Because while this looks like a major win for Diddy on the surface, what's happening behind the scenes might just be a completely different story. I'm gonna be honest, I'm still shaking. I wasn't ready for this. Nobody was. The prosecution made a move in the dead of night that's left victims stunned, legal analysts confused, and the public scrambling for answers. They didn't wait for a jury. They'd get dismissed by the judge. The government voluntarily dropped the charges mid-case. Let that sink in. But here's the kicker. Those charges, they were state-level charges, not federal. That's important, very important, because this is a federal trial. And the feds, they don't play fair, but they do play long. They're trying to nail Diddy under federal law, not just state violations. And while this looks like a retreat, it might be the setup to a bigger swing. Let's talk strategy, honey. Those dropped charges, they were based on California and New York laws. That meant introducing different legal definitions, different jury instructions, different standards, all into one federal courtroom. That's chaos, baby. That's confusion. That's exactly the kind of mess that Diddy's defense could use to their advantage. Imagine a jury scratching their heads asking, wait, is this a federal definition or California's? That's how mistrials happen. That's how people walk away clean. And you know what? The defense saw that loophole and pounced. They filed what's called a Rule 29 motion, basically telling the judge, Your Honor, this case is so weak, the jury shouldn't even hear it. The prosecution could have fought it, could have rolled the dice, but they didn't. Instead, they sliced off the weak limb to save the body. Strategic? Definitely. Scary? Absolutely. But don't let the headlines fool you. This isn't over. You see, those same acts, those threats, that control, that alleged abuse might still show up, just under different labels. Prosecutors could repackage it all under federal RICO laws or forced labor statutes. So while the names on the paperwork changed, the story they're telling the jury might be just as chilling. Now, if they can prove it was all part of a criminal enterprise, baby, it's RICO time. And with RICO, all they need is 2 predicate acts, just 2, and that could be enough to put Diddy away for decades. So no, this isn't the end. It's a chess move, but it's a move that's got the world watching closely. Still, let's not downplay it. This is a test, a big one, because the public, we're watching. We saw the prosecution blink. We saw the headlines flip overnight. And now we're all asking, is Diddy gonna walk? What does this mean for the victims who've risked everything to speak up? Is this justice, or is this the playbook for how the rich and powerful avoid accountability? And let's be real, if this were anyone else, not a music mogul, not a billionaire, not someone with an army of lawyers and connections, would those charges still be standing? Exactly. This isn't just about Diddy. This is about power. It's about influence. It's about how the elite can twist the system, manipulate perception, and rewrite the narrative, while the rest of us are just trying to catch up. We've seen this before. Oh, we've seen it. The public outrage, the shocking headlines, the courtroom drama, then a surprise charge drop, a quiet legal twist, and boom, the headlines cool down. People move on. The pressure fades and the punishment, it goes soft. And don't forget, the system isn't built to protect the public from powerful people, not without pressure. And baby, if we don't keep it loud, they will sweep this thing under the rug, lock the door, and pretend it never happened. Let's not let that happen. And if you're wondering how the defense is going to spin this, oh, they already started. They'll say the dropped charges prove the case was weak, that this was all just a PR witch hunt, that Diddy was targeted unfairly. But don't fall for it, because even if Diddy is convicted on the remaining charges, like RICO, sex trafficking, and forced labor, the sentencing is still its own beast. Prosecutors could recommend years behind bars, and the defense could argue it down to months, or worse, probation. And then come the appeals. The defense will say the jury was confused, that the dropped charges created bias, that there wasn't enough evidence, that it was all consensual. And by then, the cameras are gone. The headlines are buried. The victims are left holding their trauma in silence. That is not justice. So what do? We stay loud. We stay focused. We don't let the headline drops distract us. We don't assume one conviction is the end. We keep pushing. We demand accountability. Because if the courtroom goes quiet, we make noise. If the system gets sleepy, we scream. This is a test not just for the courts, but for all of us. Now let's get into what this really means. Because we're not just talking about Diddy here. We're talking about a blueprint, a strategy used again and again by the rich and powerful when they get caught up in scandal, violence, or both. What we're seeing play out in real time is the celebrity legal playbook, step by step. Step 1, wait for the public outrage. Let it build. Let the headlines swirl. Let the documentaries drop. Step 2, get your lawyers to file every motion in the book. Delay, distract, dismantle. Step 3, get charges dropped, not because you're innocent, but because the law is messy and favors the well-connected. Step 4, let the attention fade, let the narrative shift, let people forget. Step 5, walk away with your image just damaged enough to be edgy, but not enough to be canceled. And guess what? That's exactly what's playing out right now with Diddy. And I can't stay silent about this, y'all, because we've seen this happen before, too many times. The moment those charges vanished, the internet cracked in half. The survivors, they're terrified. Supporters are frustrated. The rest of us, confused. But make no mistake, this is designed confusion. It's not a mistake. It's a strategy. Now, here's something that really pisses me off, and I have to say it. Ever since Tony freaking Busby got involved in this broader legal mess, everything's gotten more chaotic. You might not see the connection right now, but I do. His over-the-top moves, his media antics, his headlines-first approach, it muddied the water. And when the water gets muddy, guess who benefits? Not the victims, not the truth, the accused, the rich, the connected. I used to have hope in Busby. I really did. But now, that hope is gone. Because these kinds of antics, this type of courtroom theater, it gives the defense a gift. It gives them ammunition to say, look, this is a circus. This isn't justice. It's a vendetta. And that's all they need. A little doubt, a little confusion, just enough to convince one juror that this is all smoke and mirrors. Now back to Diddy. Let's say, just say, he's convicted on one of the big charges, RICO or sex trafficking or forced labor. Let's say justice makes it through the chaos. Then what? We celebrate? We exhale? Not so fast, because the sentencing, that's a whole new battlefield. Prosecutors might come in hot. They'll demand years, decades even. But the defense? Oh baby, they'll plead. They'll argue. He's never been convicted before. Yeah, he's done so much for the community. This was all consensual. He's cooperating. And then, like a slap in the face, probation's on the table. Or a sentence so light it makes your stomach turn. Then the appeals begin. Quiet, technical, drawn out legal gymnastics. Not the stuff that makes headlines, not the stuff that goes viral, but the stuff that erases accountability. They'll say the charges were dropped for a reason. That the jury got confused, that things were misunderstood, that Diddy was made a scapegoat. And in those quiet moments, months or years later, after the press has moved on, that's when victims lose the most. That's when everything they risked, the trauma they relived, the stories they told, the shame they pushed through gets drowned out by a single court filing. It's not just about a guilty verdict, it's about holding the line. It's about staying engaged, staying vocal, staying awake. So what do? We stay loud. We keep the pressure on. We don't let the conversation fade. We don't accept a watered down version of justice, threats, allegation of justice. Because the system isn't built to punish the powerful, not unless the public demands it. That's why I will be following every twist in this case, every filing, every motion, every whisper that floats out of that courtroom. And yes, I'll be there. I'll be sitting in that courtroom again, jury or no, jury or no, jury or no, jury, reporting what I see and making sure that what's done in the dark gets dragged into the light. This isn't just a celebrity scandal, it's a referendum on our entire justice system. And I'll say this, don't let Diddy's PR machine fool you. His team is working overtime to clean this up. Already, they're spinning this as vindication. Look, the charges are falling apart. He's innocent. They'll push the narrative that he's being targeted because of who he is, because of his fame, because of his money. But let's get something straight. This isn't about fame. It's about facts. The facts, even if the labels are changing, haven't gone anywhere. The alleged conduct, manipulation, control, coercion, abuse, those things haven't disappeared. They've just been relabeled. And if the government can prove that those acts were part of a larger, organized criminal effort, if they can connect the dots under RICO, that's it. They only need 2 predicate acts. 2. That's all. And the rest falls into place. But it's a tightrope. And one bad step, one weak argument, one confused juror, Diddy could walk away clean. And I hate that I even have to say that, but it's real. We've seen how this goes. If we let the pressure drop, if we let the headlines fade, if we turn our attention elsewhere, they win. Not just Diddy, but every high-powered predator watching from the shadows, learning from this. So what happens now? The trial continues, the remaining charges are still alive, but this move, the dropping of the most violent, most graphic charges, has shaken the whole case. We are at a crossroads. Either this case becomes a masterclass in dodging accountability, or it becomes a turning point. Either the survivors are silenced by legal semantics, or their courage changes the game. And I don't know about you, but I'm not giving up on justice that easy. So stay with me, stay loud. Stay angry, and don't let anyone tell you this is over, because it's not by a long shot. We fight until the end, we speak for the silenced. We push until accountability doesn't depend on fame or money, but on truth. And I promise, I'll be right here with you through every damn moment of it. See you at the next live